Suzanne Campi, welcome to the Star Coach Show.
Thank you, Meg. It's a pleasure.
I'm really looking forward to our conversation about life transitions, about retirement, really kind of giving that double bonus of retirement if you, as a listener, are thinking about retiring or working through the aspects of retirement. Suzanne's going to have um, golden nuggets to share with you. And what, as a service provider, if you're working with people who are facing retirement, considering retirement, what might you as a coach lean into for them? We've got that for you today as well. So, just so many great things to talk about. But I want to start with letting you know who we're talking with and share a little bit about Suzanne with you. So, Suzanne is a life transitions coach, a community builder who emphasizes working with women in retirement. Now, let's stop right there. It's okay if you're not a woman, you can still listen to this podcast. You're still going to get lots out of it, but we all have our niches, our little special places we like to play. And Suzanne is with women in retirement. In her business, Suzanne brings together women who are shaping their retirement so that they can be inspired to embrace sort of the freedom of that, create meaningful connections, design more vibrance in their life. As they dream about this next stage. So as Suzanne and I were talking about our emphasis for the interview today, we really looked at the joy that comes in transition, but also the the kind of the angst that can sometimes come with doing things differently. And so we're gonna look at any change brings uncertainty, right, Suzanne?
So true.
And
So true.
and how we deal with some of that. So Suzanne,
Mhm.
links are going to be below this. If you're watching us on YouTube, they're right below this. If you're listening to this, they're in the show notes. But it's SuzanneCampi.com. Couldn't be easier to find her in that. And before we dive into the interview, I just want to take a minute to make a request. If you're watching us on YouTube, take a minute to hit that subscribe button. Yes, so I've got these incredible interviews with these incredible people each and every week. And we've got all these extras that pop up on our YouTube channel. So be sure that you subscribe so that you know. And then if you're listening on the many different podcast platforms, just take a moment and follow the show because once again, you don't want to miss a minute, or if we have a special episode that comes out, you want the episodes to go into your feed each and every week. So you got to take a minute to subscribe so that you get that. And it really doesn't even take a minute, does it, Suzanne? It takes like a millisecond.
A millisecond, a millisecond. And
A
Meg
mill.
has the most fun info. You really want to subscribe.
Thank you for that. Now, speaking of fun info and empowering info, let's talk about retirement. Let's talk about life transitions. And I'm going to actually throw it to you on where do we want to start this discussion today?
Ooh, you know what? I love this topic. It's funny when you said life transitions are people meet them with angst. That's why they need a coach. They wouldn't come to me if they weren't anxious about their transitions. So transitions come in all forms. And I look at big ones with people, the marriage, the divorce, the loss of a job, the getting a new job, having a new baby, all of that. But retirement is a little more of my specialty now, I think, because all of my peers are retiring. It's in my peer group now. But you know what? Life transitions aren't typically easy, even if it's under the umbrella of good transition like marriage or having a new baby or a new job or retirement, especially. It's not Everybody thinks you should be fine. You saved enough money to retire, you should be fine. So you feel like you can't really feel unsteady on your feet or feel anxious and speak it out because everybody's saying, what's the matter with you? You saved the money, you got exactly, it's our goal, right? Hit whatever age and quit working and go play tennis and pickleball. Not necessarily the news. That isn't for everybody. And it is for some people. But you know what? Most people get there and all of a sudden realize, holy goodness sakes, what am I going to do next? I didn't realize that a couple big trips, a lot of fun with the grandkids just wasn't enough. And then they're twiddling their thumbs, getting in their spouse's way. It's tough time. It's a big transition. So I have talked to other coaches about when you have somebody that comes to you who's retiring, keep in mind they get to reinvent. They're in a recharge mode. Baby boomers aren't doing it like their parents did. A baby boomers and X's, because the X's are retiring now right along with us. So
Right.
we're paving the way. We're making a new path, new territory. We're not doing it like our parents did. We're not buying an easy chair. We're just looking at next, what's the next chapter? So it's
Well, and
really
one of the
fun.
things that you and I talked about as we prepared for this interview is, in my experience in training over 100 coaches a year, it is not unusual that coaching is one of the tools people are putting in their toolbox as a post-career career.
Mhm.
So in that, I hear again and again, yeah, I'm learning I'm getting the skills to coach now. My
Mhm.
plan is to leave corporate America or to let go of my 9 to 5 job at some point and use coaching as a bridge
Mhm.
into my retirement. Either I'm going to just do some things a couple days a week to kind of keep my skills strong and to have that fulfillment, or
Mhm.
that it's really something that bridges that transition. So that's exciting to me. And I'm willing to bet that many people who are listening are like, yeah, that's my plan. That's my
Yeah, I want to be
plan.
a coach. I
So
want to be a coach.
yeah. How
Yeah.
important have you found with the people that you work with that are transitioning into this next phase of life that they build some things in that fill their life purpose?
Oh my goodness, so important. And I take people all the way back to, when you took a coaching certification, quite often you learned the wheel of life. You learn to walk people through every aspect of that wheel to see where they needed improvement type thing, which I don't like when anybody feels like there's something they have to do or have to do better now. If they're going to start retiring, we need to move away from the quarterly review mindset, the fact that you are getting a review and going to look at everything you did wrong. Ixnay, ixnay. So as that person who's going into coaching, or the coach who's coaching the retiree, I speak to both of them. Take a few steps back. Honor what you're ending. I would urge somebody not to immediately switch from corporate to coaching. Give themselves some time to really process. And I urge my clients to step back, look at that whole career, and honor yourself. Just honor what you did, because that was probably 40 years, 50 years of really pushing it. And it's time now to kind of step back. I listened to your podcast with Dr. Rami Mushtag,
Yes.
and the busy brain. And oh my gosh, people come off retirement, they want to jump into coaching sometimes because they're afraid of dead space. I would really urge them to make sure that they're looking at it for the right reasons. If you truly want to help your fellow man and you truly want to make a difference out there, that's cool. But should you take a little breather in between and really evaluate that? Because coaching is a job. I
Mhm.
think everybody thinks, oh, coaching, I'm so good at what I did. I can just tell people what to do and they'll be so happy to hear it. No, you
That's not
still
coaching. Yeah.
you still have to arm in arm with them and
Right.
boost them up, help them find their greatness. So coaching's big. I was 18 months for a certification,
Mhm.
and continuing ed and learning more and more from Meg and her podcast. But um think about that busy brain. Take that test. I was a little surprised. Mine was pretty freaking busy. I think mine was like, mine was it was way up there. I'm like, God, I thought I was mellowing out in my old age. But it's okay. It's okay. Just
Mhm.
awareness to see that I need to work on calming down. So many people come off the corporate wheel and they just want to keep going because they know no different. So I urge, thank yourself, congratulate yourself, really, really congratulate yourself and love on yourself for what you pulled off, and the multitasking and the raising a family and all the things you did at the same time. And hang out and breathe. I even kind of, and this is probably taboo to some, but I urge a gap year. It's
Love
not
that.
just for the young people.
Right.
And quite
Well,
often people
and
don't
that
even make it through the year, but just process. And
and that is so in alignment with what we do as coaches in, help our clients slow down to celebrate their successes, to sell. And
mhm,
that's really what you're saying, rather
right.
than just like, let's just jump into the next thing to do, the next,
Mhm,
how do I, like you said, pat yourself on the back a little bit, own
mhm.
own the success, own the achievement
Yes.
before you, because starting a coaching business, even if it's a part-time kind of thing, you still need to attract clients. You still need to be
Mhm,
um, fully present with the clients. It's about them. It's about, what are you doing to do the business end of your business? I mean, there are
right.
things that it ends up being maybe a heavier lift than some people think that it's going to be. So I
I don't
love
think
your
anybody went into coaching and said, geez, it wasn't as much as I thought it would be, as much work as I thought it would be. Have you ever heard that?
I have yet to hear that. If that's the case, feel free to
Yeah.
send me a note, but in general, or to leave a note below this video. But I will say, yes, it is work. So that concept of celebrating all that
Mhm.
you've done and relishing that a little bit, right? Just like,
Right.
ooh, um,
Yes. And
and
especially as women, we don't tend to congratulate ourselves, right? We look at everything we did wrong. Oh my gosh, I can look at any success I had and tell you everything wrong about it.
it's a special gift we
It
have.
is, it is special. Well, we're very special that way.
We're very special that
You
way.
might as well get out of it now at this point in our lives because it's just a waste of time.
So, when we were talking about the assumption that we might make when we work with somebody who's retiring, or that we've made for ourselves, oh boy, I get to retire, life is good. That assumption that this is a time to embrace and that we're excited about it. You've got some thoughts about that, about how we, particularly as a coach, might want to approach that with a client. Let's talk about that assumption.
I do. Yeah, the assumption is you saved money, now you just get to hang out. Keep in mind, and especially if you're a younger coach, we tend to have our own frame of reference and we try to remove that as coaches, but it's impossible. We are who we are. We come from where we come from. If what you've seen is parents or grandparents that have just kind of chilled out and bop around the house and watch sitcoms, you're going to think, well, what's wrong with these people that they're not happy? Keep in mind there is a whole life full of wisdom. These people are smart, they've done a lot, they've accomplished a lot. And I would treat it like a job change. And if you've ever coached anybody in a career change, you go back, you look at the thorough strings of everything they did really well and what wisdom they gleaned, and help them really play with that and pull it forward into what their next steps will be. Because these people have a lot of life in their years left and they can help, they can volunteer. Oftentimes you'll hear, well, I don't want to be needed too much. I don't want to have to be somewhere. I still want to be able to travel. There's things that work into that schedule, being on boards. My dear friend's husband always wanted to be a lifeguard. What he did was look kind of at his bucket list. So he's a lifeguard and he's having so much fun mentoring the younger lifeguards.
That's
Now, look
awesome.
at that list. I always wanted to sail. I went and did sailing lessons. Um, what do you want to do? You know, and sometimes people talk about, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Again, keep reminding them that they are now human beings and they don't have to always be human doings. That was that part of life. Now, if that makes you happy to do, go ahead. But keep in mind, you might want to nurture your soul. You might want to nurture your spirit a little more this time. How about fun? Have you had fun lately? A dear friend I was coaching, we kind of froaching, which is frowned upon a little bit, but she called me specifically for being very lost. And she and I kind of froached each other. We had an agreement. Froached is friend coaching. And she's given me some of the best advice. And one day I just said to her, she was so stressed out because she's 78 and running a business. And I said, when was the last time you had fun? And man, that was the longest pause. And I worked really hard at not interrupting, as all of us coaches know we're supposed to do. She just went, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know. 3 weeks later, I got a call. She was heading to Paris. I was so happy for her, so happy for her. She said, I told my son I'm not having any fun. I don't really have the cash right now, and he's sending me to Paris. So
Oh my goodness.
keep in mind you need to play, even if it's go out and kick a ball with the kids, or I do a goofy little thing. I have a hula hoop at my house, so I bring it out when people come over. And it's so funny, you can't hula hoop without a smile on your face. Bring back those things you did as a goofy kid, except I don't recommend the skateboard.
Yep.
So
Maybe a slingshot
bones
might
break
break
a
a few
little
windows,
quicker.
but yeah.
So look
But
at
I
your fun.
love
Look at
I
venture.
love what you just said about that you didn't get into a place of lecturing your friend about you never have fun and you did it. You know, what you said to her
Mm,
was, when's the last time you had fun? And then you held the silence for her to come to that awareness on her own and ultimately create an opportunity for her that all came out of her. And I want people to, when you're in that place of, oh, but I just know for my client that they should have more fun or you shouldn't, it's,
ooh,
it's, it's like this concept of Suzanne just gave an example of a beautiful coaching question that led to the transformation that the client needed, rather than let me rescue you and tell you what you need and then get into this, well, I can't do that. And da, 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 da," it just was such a beautiful example. I wanted everybody to really hear that.
oh, thanks, Meg. Yeah, those good questions probably come best when we remove ourselves, huh? When we remove
We
ourselves and our point of view. And granted, I do have a bit of a point of view on having fun, but I'm the youngest of
and you
eight.
have a
That's
point
my
of view.
job.
I'm the second youngest of eight. I knew I
Oh, how
liked you.
funny. I always meet people that are one of eight. That's weird.
Well, and technically I'm one of nine. My brother Kevin died right before I was born, so we
Oh.
kind of grew up as one of eight. But yeah, we grew up when, and it was sort of our job as one of the youngest to keep people smiling and in light spirits, huh? That's always
I
what
think
I
so. We
took
were
my
the
job very
entertainment.
seriously. Yes, I guess exactly.
And I think
So
too, we tend to be coaches because we really love people. Like you are not a coach if you don't love people. It would drive you up a wall. But my goal in life is for people to see their strength and see their greatness. And that, I know it sounds a little airy fairy to say, oh, look back at what you did and congratulate yourself. No, it's something we have such a hard time doing as human beings.
right,
And it's
right.
such a big deal. So remember that, coaches, your your clients aren't loving on themselves enough. So do whatever you can, whatever exercise you can come up with, anything to help them just appreciate the heck out of themselves. Because I think that's what we're in an epidemic of right now is people beating themselves to a pulp. I always call myself the self-flagellator. It's a constant practice.
Well, it is. And the cost of that and the exhaustion of that. And
Mm,
that's why people work with coaches to bring those outside eyes and outside ears
right.
to help them see through a different lens or broaden the lens that they're looking through. And so part of that broadening of the lens is You really are whole and resourceful and creative. And I'm willing to bet you've done things in the past that are covered up by all of the gunk of the
Mhm.
present. So what can we dust off and rediscover that's already within you? And how beautiful is that?
So true. So, so true. Um, yeah, I don't know where I was going to go,
Okay.
but I just love
No,
that.
I think that the you're doing a beautiful job leaning into, yes, transition can be lovely, and yes,
Mm.
transition can bring opportunity. And what's interesting about this is it feeds right into my last episode of 2024, the bittersweet nature of transition. And
Mm.
the reason why I did that last show was because, as anybody who's watching the video can see, I'm in transition right now. My shelves are empty. I've
Oh.
looked forward to, we built a brand new house. We just moved in, and even in that, even in the excitement of that, there's angst that goes along with that, and there's,
Mhm.
this the I want to get things moved in right away, and I want to take time off to do that, but at the same time, I want to be available to my show and to my clients and all the things that I talked about in that episode. But
Mhm.
what I love about the what we're talking about right now is that we are whole beings. And
Yeah.
that one of the things that you really work with your clients around is look at yourself holistically, and where are the pieces that come
Mhm.
into working you and retired you and next phase of life you and whatever that is. So, what are some
Exactly.
things that you want us all to be thinking about when we think about us being whole beings with some pieces that sometimes need additional attention?
No, always, right? First of all, realizing always. Um, I have that retirement wheel. It's very similar to a wheel of life that people use in coaching. We typically have our coaching clients look at all the different aspects of their life. And there's always something that you want to work on that quote unquote needs improvement. But I just like to say anything you'd like to make 10% better and just one little action, because then that will snowball on more. But I have eight parts of that wheel, from purpose to health to fitness to family, relationships, recreation, play, spirituality, adventure, and legacy. And looking at every piece of that, and actually, if you go to my website, which is SuzanneCampi.com, you can actually fill it out. And anybody can do it if you're a coach, whoever. Go ahead and fill that out. And it actually a little gamified. It'll give you a report and tell you
Oh,
where you
neat.
are. It's really cool. So take a look at that and see, and you probably know, you probably have an idea. Shoot, I need to work out more. Um, where is my spirituality? Am I doing anything to go within or to nurture my soul? And that is, everybody has some spirituality that they can tap into, whatever it is for you. Tap in a little deeper, because there's usually a lot of strength in that. Um, Health and fitness is a biggie, and I know sometimes people don't like to hear it because it seems cliche, but if we don't have our health, we're kind of doomed for everything else, right? So really, if health has been neglected, I really urge people to do what they can to get out there and step by step. If you have to do tiny habits, study tiny habits and go out and do it. But step by step, and I'm happy to work with people on a fitness type plan, because I did own a gym for 5 years. I'd been a fitness trainer for years until I bought my hobby. That's a bad idea. But um, I love to work with people on that. I love to make fitness fun. It is doable. I swear to you, it's doable. So never, ever make it grueling, ever. Anything in life. If it's grueling, you're not going to do it. So let's create fun with this. And there I go again with my fun youngest kid thing. And even legacy can be beautiful. It does not have, don't think, oh, I only have enough money to get by. I'm not making, yes, your legacy is, what trace do you leave behind? What is the energetic footprint you left behind? Did you leave love? Are people going to talk? What are they going to talk about you? Oh, she made me feel so heard. That's what I want people to say when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I might not be leaving any big chunk of money anywhere, but I hope that my loved ones felt like I had their back. So think about that. That can be very simple. So who are you? Basically, your legacy is who are you? So that's another fun one to work with. They're all fun to work with. What about adventure? What are you going to do to learn next? Learning, curiosity. It's so fun. So now you get to do it all for you and all for your loved ones and all for whoever you want to do it for. It doesn't have to be
Just
about corporate. Let it go.
right. And the other thing that you bring up, and I think the work you do is so important, and often the work that we do as coaches, is that we people sometimes don't take time to do an inventory. We're
Mhm.
responding to the next demand in our inbox or the next demand of the person that walks into our office or whatever the
Right.
situation is. So there is such value in slowing down to take
Mhm.
inventory. And like you said, lean into the fun of it, lean into the experience of it.
Mhm.
Um, and come up with all those things that maybe are covered up from the day-to-day gook. And we can begin to like discover the treasure within.
Right. So true. And within, what you're saying is people were also in their last life, like your podcast with Dr. Romy said, it was almost a badge of honor to be in the muck. It was a badge of honor to be too busy, to say you're busy. When somebody says, how many times do you ask somebody how they're doing? They go, oh, busy. I love that because that leaves me wide open for some questions. And it might just be a cocktail party, but I'm going to find out what's going on there. Are you having fun? Is your life full? What's busy mean? But people are so used to being in the muck of corporate and having to be busy. You know what my brother taught me, which is actually really good advice. When I had my first job, he was 15 years older than me. He said, hey, I have advice for you. I go, what? And he goes, walk fast. I go, what? I swear to God, it sounds silly, but I swear I used it my whole corporate career. Walk fast, especially if you know there's a boss in the office. Walk really fast, because if you walk really fast, they're going to think you're busy and they're going to think you're smart. So if ever I walked, I would be charging down the hall. But ironically, we do subscribe to that. The busier, the faster we spoke, the sharper we were, the more admired we were, the more respected we were. How do you dial that down after 40
Yeah.
years? So once again, stepping back, that big step back is huge.
Well, I was laughing because I was thinking, and also if you're walking fast, nobody's going to think that they can stop you to ask you a
Exactly. That's
question.
part of it. That's part of it. And
They're
they
like,
can't
"Oh,
find out
Suzanne's busy. I got to get
she's
out
so
of her
busy.
way."
She's probably actually doing nothing but going to the bathroom, but she did it fast.
That's right. She did it fast and she was efficient. So, oh my goodness, I am so enjoying our time together and could just spend
So,
additional time with you. But I know that at some point we need to wrap up. So let me ask you, as we are thinking about what we want the audience to maybe turn up their dial on either in understanding, awareness, perspective on life transition, what, if anything, did we
mhm.
leave on the table that we want to at least consider in our time together today?
One of my favorite things to consider is, and I learned this when I first read William Bridges' books on transitions, and it was really gave me pause that every new beginning starts with an ending. We tend to, as a society, go ripping through life and ripping through the good times and the bad times and not processing them. And a big one is we don't process the ending. And it could be even, a death in the family. As a Western society, we're not very good at honoring and processing endings. So by the time we go flying through life, we might have a lot of endings we have to deal with because we never did. And I tell you, that kind of thing will catch you. It will catch you, if grief will catch you if you didn't deal with it. So that's
Hmm.
why I really say that pause after retirement's good, to really process what have you been through. And is there anything you need to give extra attention to? And now I think I'm going off on a tangent. What was your question?
Just, you answered it actually beautifully. It was just
Oh,
like,
okay.
what do we want to consider? Sort of
Honor.
as
Yeah.
frosting on this cake that we've baked.
Yes, yes. And so any transition starts with an ending, honor the ending, and then understand that there's that whole phase in the middle. Yeah, I think William Bridges called it the messy middle. I like to call it the miraculous middle. It's where all the action happens. So I think when people are going through something, a change happened, the transition is your process through it. Understand that your process is not linear, that and everybody's in the same boat as you. It's up, it's down, it's around, it's backwards. I mean, there's a lot of slipping backwards. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just understand it's part of the process and you'll get through to the other side as long as you keep trying things.
Just love that. So I want to re-emphasize that Suzanne said at suzannecampi.com, you can go through her retirement wheel and really look at what is that inventory that you want to take for you so that you are honoring where you are versus just what everybody needs from you. I also loved where you said, we're human beings, not just human doings.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you stepping into your beingness? In today's interview, we looked through the lens of your own life transition, and we also looked through the lens of if you're a coach working with people going through transition. And so I am so grateful to Suzanne for bringing perspective on both of those fronts and really helping us think about how do we want to be in each stage of our life and how do we want to be with people who are going through transitions. It's a double whammy. So be sure to watch or to tune into all of the things that Suzanne has to offer. Like I said, we've got links to learn more about her below this video if you're watching us on YouTube, in the show notes if you're listening to the show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen. And Suzanne, I want to thank you for your time and
Oh,
your
thank you,
energy
Meg.
today. Such a
Thank
delight
you,
to
Meg.
spend time with you.
Thank you so much. I so enjoy you.
Oh, thank you. Now, if you're new to the Star Coach Show, know that we bring a new episode every Wednesday. And we are about strategies, tools, and resources. Yes, for professional coaches, but also for leaders who want to lead more effectively and just really in general, how do we want to show up on this earth? There's probably tips and strategies for that at the Star Coach Show. So remember, we're all here on this earth to do the lifting together. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success. Have a fantastic week. And be sure to look up Suzanne Campi. Take care.